UAlbany wins at Hartford yesterday, 69-63. They are now 7-5 in the America East, 19-8, one win away from another 21 season for head coach Will Brown, who joins us here on Big Board Sports on 104.5 The Team, ESPN Radio. Good morning, Coach.
Good morning. How we doing?
Not too bad. All good. A nice win yesterday on the road, and I thought Costa Anderson was a big spark off the bench for you with double digits in scoring, 11 points, and shot the ball pretty well and made some threes against a team that showed you a lot of zone yesterday.
Yeah, I thought Costa did a good job. He has been practicing really well. You know, we had given Ahmad Clark, that opportunity off the bench, and he's been inconsistent. So I told Costa 2 days before the Hartford game, you're going to be the first perimeter guy off the bench for us. We expect to see a lot of zone. Just go out there and be solid defensively, and if you get a clean look, just let it fly. And I thought Costa did a real nice job yesterday, and they really packed it in on us and, dared us to shoot the ball. And I thought we were patient with that. And, Campbell got 2 quick fouls in the first half, as well. So it gave Costa an opportunity early to get in a rhythm. And, he looked comfortable out there. He played well. And, it's nice when somebody off the bench steps up and contributes.
Yeah, unfortunately, Hartford also got into foul trouble. This big guy, Atia, I'll tell you right now, every time he plays UAlbany, he's got 2 fouls in 30 seconds. And I said to Brian on the air, I will predict right now he doesn't make it to the end of this game. He will foul out of this game. And sure enough, Will, their big guy on the inside, 6'10", Atia, fouls out yet another game against you.
Well, I'll tell you what, if I'm in charge of talent for the WWE, I'm recruiting that kid.
There's no question.
I mean, he is a big boy.
Oh, he is. But he fouls a lot. He really does.
Yes, well, I mean, you have him and Steyer out there, and even though he's 6'10", and, Greg is, 6'7" on his tippy toes, the weight that's being thrown around in the paint there. But, Greg's gotten really good at controlling, when he hits you and how he hits you. Atia just runs right over you.
He does.
He gives the officials no choice.
No one's even arguing when Atia gets called for a foul. Not even
Atia.
No, not even Atia. No, I got him pretty good. The only thing I would look at on the stat sheet, and I don't know if it'd be interesting as a head coach, do you make a big deal of this or just say, you know what, we're just in a bad rut now, leave it alone. And that is your foul shooting was 21 of 32, which is very uncharacteristic of a really good foul shooting team, and Cremo was 11 of 16. Are you just kind of like, no big deal, we'll move on, or are you going to shoot a lot of foul shots in the next practice?
Well, we'll definitely shoot a lot of free throws in our next practice. I mean, we're a good free throw shooting team. I think, honestly, Joe's misses were short. I think he was a little tired. He's got to use his legs, get the ball up in the air. I had a text waiting for me after the game from our good friend, Coach Bassett. He wants to know who the shooting coach is for the road games. See, we make him at home, and he takes credit for that. We go on the road, since he's not traveling with us right now. When we miss, I get that text. But when we make him on the road, I don't get a text from Coach Bassett. So we missed the 11 free throws. Every coach on the staff had a text waiting from Coach Bassett. Make sure you shoot free throws at practice. So I blamed. I don't know who I blame. Since I gave Fruscio all the credit for. Being all mic'd up in a TV show and all that, and for the Stony Brook win, I'll blame Fruscio for the missed free throws.
And by the way, Chris,
that's getting a lot of play. The Fruscio,
Chris is the one that puts that whole thing together. Man, that thing. I told Will and Jamie, his wife, at the game before. I said, at one point on Saturday, after you tweeted that out, I saw at least 825 views.
How about him sneaking in his Twitter handle, being mic'd up, and then he's asking about Western Japan, and then the best is Josh Pelletier, my assistant, says to him, "Man, we're shooting 60%. This is early in the first half. We're shooting 60% from the floor." that's not gonna, that's gonna drop. And Fruscio's like, no, it's not.
And for anybody out there listening, so Nick Fruscio is the walk-on from Albany Academy. We put a mic on him for the first half of the Vermont game. And Will, you can speak to this better than any of us. Like as I'm shooting it, I'm also listening to it, and I'm thinking, this is just Fruscio. Like, I don't think he's really putting it on all that much for the TV camera. I think this is just a lot of who he is.
Yeah, no, he's I know he had a little fun with it, like throwing out his Twitter account and all that, but literally what he does while the game is going on, that's Fruscio. He's into it. Every game he's like that, whether it's waving the towel, flexing the guns, he's into the game, and that's a big reason why our guys, enjoy being around him, and that's why he's such a really good teammate, and, it's a lot of fun. Obviously it was a tough game. We lost that game. We did a lot of good things, but we came up short. But, Fruscio's energy is contagious, and, he had fun with it. Trust me, everybody that I bump into, that I know watched it. And my wife, I think she watched it like 30 times, and she was cracking up each time she watched it, and she was forwarding it to everybody that she knows. So, it was a lot of fun, and, obviously it helps having that for the TV show, and it's great on social media, and, it's nice to see him have fun with it and everybody enjoy it.
Coach, I do want to ask you, I also want to ask you about something you were involved in, and I know your wife Jamie as well, heavily involved in what happened Friday night at Catholic Central, and if you could just kind of give us some of the backstory on what it took to put this ceremony together for Don Bassett to have the court at Catholic Central named after him. Obviously, the great success he had not only there, but across really Capital Region basketball.
Yeah, anybody that knows, Coach Bassett, first of all, knows how he's such a quality human being, and he's impacted so many people, whether it was in the classroom, on the basketball court, but as I've learned over the years, he's coached every sport ever created. I wouldn't be surprised if he coached curling back in the day at some point, but he coached football, track, and he bleeds that Catholic High purple, and his record speaks for itself there. Very close, friend of mine and my wife, Jamie. You guys know him. Kevin Gillespie is the athletic director over there. His wife Shannon is on the board. Kevin's been, the AD there now a little over a year, and Kevin fully understood what Donnie Bassett meant to Catholic High. Obviously, our older son goes there now, and my wife's heavily involved. She's on the board now. So it really was a strong push from Kevin and Shannon. I know my wife and I supported it, and, it long overdue, to be honest with you. And, the hard part was keeping it a secret from Coach Bassett. He thought he was going over there to help on senior night a couple of days before. He's like, I don't know why they want me over there. I don't even think I'm going to go. I'm not feeling well. And I'm like, Donnie, you got to go. You made a commitment. So then I'm calling Kevin and Shannon, and I'm like, hey, he might not show. And then like 2 days before, he's like, they're sending a car to get me or something like that. I don't know. And so I call up, and Shannon's like, I'll go get him myself. So, I called Don. He's like, I got a date. Shannon's picking me up. She's bringing me to Catholic High. And so really it was crazy because they got Donnie there at like 5:30, and, everybody else, I reached out to his family. They were there. We reached out to, the media, and then, they wanted one former player to speak, and, Gary Holly, you guys all know Gary down at the Times Union Center. It was a great player for Donnie, and it was an All-American basketball and baseball at Siena. And I reached out to Gary because I know how much Coach Bassett meant to Gary, and he had a real good speech, said some real nice things, and credit to Coach Bassett for all of his athletic achievements and for believing in him, because Gary said, going into ninth grade, he was going to quit sports altogether, and Coach Bassett, said, "Hey, we're keeping that tall, gangly, long, skinny kid, and we're gonna work with him, and he's gonna develop." And Gary became a great player, and it was just a really good night. It was a great turnout, and again, I can't say enough how much Coach Bassett's meant to me. When I graduated from college, my first job, my good friend Brian Beery hired me at the College of St. Rose, and when Donnie was retired and done coaching high school ball and teaching, he went and worked with Brian, and Donnie and I shared an office for 3 years, so you can imagine the stories, that I heard, whether it was his association with George Carl or Catholic High, and then when I got the job at Albany, Donnie has been working with us for about 10 years now, and couldn't be happier for him. I mean, you guys know him well. He is the best.
No, there's no doubt, and it was really an emotional ceremony in some ways, too, and it was great. He got all the coverage, and so well deserved for Donnie and everything he has meant to basketball and more in the 518 for sure, and certainly your program as well.
Well, I'll tell you this: when the next day, I forget where I was at, but he called my phone, and I didn't pick up because I didn't see the call, and he left me the best voicemail, just saying, "Listen." He goes, "I know you had something to do with this." He goes, and I don't want to get into all that. He goes, but I just want to make sure, that I let you know how much I appreciate you and Jamie, helping get this done. And that's just Donnie to a T. And you know what? Our kids in our program, love him. They absolutely love him, and he's been a great influence on our guys, on me, our program. It's just like everywhere I go, somebody bumps into me. Is Coach Bassett, still working with you? He taught me back in the day, or he coached me, and it's just that doesn't get old. It's good to hear, and he's. I think Donnie will be coaching forever. He's the best.
That's the type of voicemail you keep, Will, if you haven't already deleted that. That's, you know what I mean? You know what I'm saying here?
There's no doubt. There's no doubt about it. That voicemail's saved. I have a voicemail from my 7-year-old. He was 6 at the time. Basically crying after we lost to Vermont last year in a championship game. Letting me know, how proud he was of me, and those are the things that every once in a while I listen to it too, and Donnie leaving that voicemail, it just puts everything in perspective. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
no doubt. All right, well, we'll see you at Mohawk Honda today,
That's right.
2:00, and I'm hearing that
It's gonna be a buffet.
Bonarigo's serving lunch at 1:15. So
as long as he's not cooking it, I'll eat it.
I know he's got something good coming in. You may want to be there a little early.
There's no doubt about it, but the last time we showed up, he and his whole staff were wearing those ugly red Stony Brook Mohawk Honda pullovers. So, I told him I wasn't coming today if he was wearing that red.
I hope he got that text, and they're not in red today.
Well, hopefully he's listening and he adds some cannolis to the menu for me. I need to stay at fight and weight. By the way, how are you feeling, Raj? You a little under the weather?
I was struggling yesterday. This flu knocked me Saturday night into Sunday morning, but I rallied in time to sit through a Scouts breakfast and then get in the car and drive to Hartford. And actually, as the day went on, I got better. So all good. Thank you.
Well, that's a good thing. You sure it wasn't the Scouts that made you feel under the weather?
It might have been. It might have been.
You guys have a good one. We'll see you soon.
See you later.
Thanks, man.
Take care. Bye.